COVID crisis at the Vatican. To safeguard current jobs, the Pope decided there must be a cut in cardinals' salaries by 10% as well as other superiors and ecclesiastics. There will be a block of biennial shots from April 1, 2021 to March 31, 2023, for all personnel serving at the Holy See, Governorate, and other related bodies. Poverty is growing in Italy due to COVID, but aid from the Church is also growing despite its own financial problems. Pope Bergoglio, with a motu proprio by own initiative, has contained the expenditure for the staff of the Holy See, the Governorate of the Vatican City-State and other related bodies given the financial crisis, aggravated by the pandemic. Considering it necessary to proceed according to criteria of proportionality and progressiveness and to safeguard current jobs, it was decided that a cut in salaries which will affect the cardinals by 10% as well as other superiors and ecclesiastics needs to be administered. For these top religious figures, the Pope has also suspended seniority shots until 2023 except for lay employees from the first to the third level. An economically sustainable future today requires, among other decisions, also to adopt measures concerning staff salaries, wrote Bergoglio in his motu proprio. The Pope does not want to dismiss, but the expenses need to be contained. Therefore, the decision was made to intervene according to criteria of proportionality and progressiveness with some adjustments that concern especially clerics and the religious at the highest levels. This financial squeeze has been motivated by the deficit that has characterized the economic management of the Holy See for several years and by the situation created by the pandemic, which negatively affected all the sources of income of the Holy See and the Vatican City-State. The salary cut for cardinals and superiors ordered by the Pope will start on April 1. In the motu proprio, Bergoglio writes that starting from that date, the remuneration paid by the Holy See to the cardinals is reduced by 10%. In addition, the reduction in wages regulated by law will be 8% for employees of the Holy See, the Governorate, and other related bodies classified in the C and C1 pay levels, that is, those of the heads and secretaries of the dicasteries. A generalized 3% decrease for clerical or religious employees, from those classified in the C2 salary level up to the first level, will face a decrease that will affect all non-lay personnel. The cuts do not apply in exceptional cases related to health costs. The block of the biennial shots from April 1, 2021 to March 31, 2023, will concern all the personnel serving at the Holy See, the Governorate, and other related bodies, but only for lay staff, the Vatican News specified, adding this block will concern the employees from the fourth level up and, therefore, will not touch the lowest salaries. The provisions also apply to the Vicariate of Rome, the Vatican, Lateran, and Liberian Papal Basilicas, the Fabbrica di San Pietro, and the Basilica of San Paolo fuori la Mura. The Vatican City will not fall into economic depression Italy is experiencing it. The disclosure of Pope Bergoglio's decision is an act of courage, perhaps a warning, to the country over which the small state, the state of the Church, is an international territorial entity that watches over a community equal to 1,328,993,000. The vision of an Italian economist. A paragraph from the book Words in Crisis by Franco Tutino, Professor Emeritus of the University of Rome La Sapienza, anticipated what Italy is going through. He said, "The ongoing epidemic of the health crisis we are facing recalls the great financial crisis in which banks and the entire economy have found themselves in recent years, and the effects of which we all continue to feel. The two crises have a lot in common: epidemics of very high violence, extreme rapidity of spread, little known risks, and, above all, little considered and for too long. Finance also has its viruses. These are the risks to which all operators are exposed: banks, companies, investors, savers. So directly or indirectly, all of us. A long eye, not a guess. The president of the say, never turn away when the poor ask for help. Poverty is growing in Italy due to COVID-19, but aid from the Church is also growing despite its own financial problems. The long-standing discomfort of many Italians living in poverty has returned to the fore with the arrival of COVID. Their cry of despair, a bray to the sky, had almost died out, tired of begging for help or for dignity, getting little help, too little, from the government. The incidence of absolute poverty among the Italian population has more than doubled in the last 10 years, and today it has risen to over 5.5 million, of which 1.137 million are children in poverty. The Church, with one hand she takes and with the other she gives. It is precisely the Church, which despite its restrictions imposed on its prelates continued in its work of charity as shown by the gestures of the Sufi ceremony of the dervishi, with one hand I take and with the other I give. Aid in 2019-20 alone amounts to over 1.6 billion with funds from eTurboNews and Italian law under which Italian taxpayers devolve a compulsory 0.8% 8 per thousand from their annual income tax return to an organized religion recognized by Italy or to a social help scheme run by the Italian state. People with employment/work problems and economic problems turn to the listening centers and services of Diocesan Caritas regarding the period of the pre-emergency coronavirus. It emerges as an increase in family problems in the form of 75.7% minus 62.8% of those of education, 60% of health, and also in terms of psychological distress, and to housing. Additional needs are linked to problems of loneliness, relationships, even with conflictual implications, anxieties and fears, disorientation, and misinformation. But ordinary charity does not fail. The additional funds listed up to date hundreds of millions to the interventions normally decided by the say Italian Episcopal Conference, in the ordinary distribution of eTurboNews funds. In 2019, for example, the eTurboNews allocated to charitable interventions was over €285 million. This noble example of the Vatican is one that the Italian government should adopt for its citizens. #RebuildingTravel